So another kind of entourage that can be really important in drawings, depending on the context, is having some vegetation. And it can be really nice to have trees in your drawings. I will forewarn you that trees that are at the wrong size or the wrong scale are kind of a dead giveaway. So you definitely want to kind of be aware of the maturity of the tree and how big the tree would be, and making sure that it's not too big or too small for the drawing. But we can sort of do similar types of exercises to get sort of bits of vegetation for your drawings. And I am going to ask you to find a tree that has interesting structure. Again, I think we want to abstract these some. We don't want this brilliant green, and even the blue of the sky, we want to control the sky separately. And I'm going to suggest that these kind of stick-like trees work really well in drawings. One, they're black and white, so that they translate very nicely. But two, they have a sort of structure of their own. Again, like with the scale figures, we can control the transparency in the final image. But we can easily take some of the same steps. We're going to do it actually a little bit differently. We're going to use a different set of steps for this tree, because we really want to go full black and white instead of the grayscale. So let's take those steps. So similar to the entourage, we have brought in an image, and you should do this both with a plan drawing or plan photograph and a kind of elevation or sectional photograph, something that can be seen kind of from the side view. And I have sort of selected this oak tree. And I'm going to do a couple of things that are familiar and then a couple things that are different. So let's start off with the only thing I have on the oak tree on the layer right now is this oak tree. I just wanted to show you kind of where we're going with this. And let's go ahead and take some of those steps. I wanted to keep those steps, but it looks like I am stuck with the tree. Let's just go ahead. All right, we'll turn it off. Okay, so the first step that we're going to take, if I just move this over, move my window over a little bit. So I'm going to move my window over. So the first steps that we're going to want to take are, again, using some of these adjustments. And again, we have them under the image, under adjustments. And we're going to start off with hue and saturation, or if I come over here, I can also go and pull up hue and saturation. Same with our scale figures, but at the earlier phase, we're going to take our saturation down to 0 so that we really have a grayscale drawing. And I could do certain things with this here, but I'm wanting to turn this into a simple black and white, almost a line drawing. So I'm going to go and see what that looks like. I've got my hue and saturation applied to the oak tree, and if I apply this, so I've got my hue and saturation here, and it's affecting the visibility of the oak tree, but I want to apply it. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse those two layers together. The shortcut is Command E, but if I just go to layers, I can go to the command to merge down. So if I merge down, now that oak tree really has taken on the 0 saturation. The next step I want to use, the next adjustment, is called the threshold. So if I click on threshold, it is going to start to look for a range of grays that it will represent as black. And I can control how much I want to pick. If I wanted a light and lacy tree, or if I wanted a dark and brooding tree, I can begin to move the indicator. This is 256 levels of gray, from all the way to black to all the way to white. And if I choose all of them and turn them all black, all the way down from pure black to pure white, then I get a black image. But I can also pick somewhere along the way that gives me a kind of feel of a tree that I like. And what I'm noticing is I've got a lot of sort of foliage up in here that is coming along for the ride. So I might want to get rid of that, but that's a little bit delicate and light. So I'm going to just go ahead and accept some of that foliage and choose that level of my threshold, which is a threshold level of 83. and I'm going to accept that by going back to the layer and again merging down the threshold onto the oak tree. So layer, merge down, and now that is characteristic of the oak tree. So now I have a black and white rather than a grayscale image. And if I zoom in here, you will see that everything is either black or white, even though when I'm further away, it looks like it's gray. Okay, so the next step that I want to take is to use the magic wand. And the magic wand, we haven't used it yet, but is a really wonderful tool for selecting pixels that are adjacent to each other that are the same. So I can control my tolerance. Right now I have it set at 25, but with a black and white drawing, I could set it at 1, and it's still going to select all of my whites because I really only have 2 types of pixels, black or white. But if I wanted to say that I had kind of a muddy grayish background and I needed a higher tolerance, I needed everything from white to light gray, I could increase my tolerance, use my magic wand, and it's going to select those. Well, that's great if that's what I want, but I really want to select all of these spots in the middle of the tree too, but I don't want to go through and individually click on them. I could, right? I could sort of hold down Shift and click on them, but that's a big pain. So instead, I'm going to use some of the selection tools that I have. I have a tool to select similar, and it will go through and find all of my whites. Now you'll notice about the background right now, I've got that checker box indicated, which means that there is no background in this area. But here it appears that my background is white. But if I pick all of those white pixels and hit delete, now I have taken all of the white pixels out. And if I deselect, you'll see that I simply have the black pixels left on a transparent background. I do have a lot of sort of shadowing down here in the kind of foreground, and I don't want that. So I'm going to pick up an eraser and just come back through and kind of clean that up. I could do it with a marquee and erase everything at once. That's dramatic, but it works. And if I have a marquee selected, I can only adjust the pixels inside the marquee. Kind of like this little bit of a tracery down by the edge. It almost looks like the tree has a little bit of a root or something coming out there. So if I go in a little closer, I can be a little bit more precise. And I have a very soft eraser, which is not very precise. I'm going to increase the hardness and just go in and really pick up those extra pixels that I don't want. So I can clean this up, but then I have a pretty nice tree, right? And again, it's transparent. So now if I put this in front of my building, the branches will be in front of the building, but it won't be covering up the building. So I'm going to go ahead and save that as my tree. Actually, I'll save it and then I'll export as a PNG.